date, and, I pretended I didn't like him.
Oh, that I can't keep living.
So, working on our little night.
Hell yeah.
All the clocks in the city began to whir and chime. Oh, let not time deceive you. You cannot conquer time. In headaches and in worry, vaguely life leaks away. And time will have his fancy tomorrow or today. Something like that.
Filmmaking is an art which craves the hand of cultural knowledge. For all the realities directors create, the medium requires its subject to have its finger on the pulse of society. The figure at the helm must have an understanding of the zeitgeist for their work to have any resonating value, or at least enough to be considered culturally significant. Richard Linklater's grasp on time as a filmmaking technique was first made clear to me when I sat down to watch his 2014 cult classic Boyhood. The film had no clear exposition, had no real coming-of-age moment. It lacked glamour, it was clearly low budget, and, to be honest, didn't really have a plot at all. Despite this, Boyhood instantly found its way into the illustrious note on my phone entitled Favourite Films. The movie is stripped back to its naked self. I wasn't lying when I said it had no plot, yet it is this filmmaking decision which allows its true main character, an actor by the name of Time, to deliver its Oscar-worthy performance. We as an audience aren't treated to elaborate character reveals, intricate twists, or ingenious camera work. Rather, we watch with a captivated curiosity as time whispers past. Ethan Hawke's forehead slowly wrinkles, Patricia Arquette's cheeks begin to sag, and Ella Coltrane grows from boy to man, like sand migrating through the margins in between our collective grasp. And whilst Boyhood captures vast leaps and bounds of time within a near 3-hour window, his most effective use of the element comes through his earlier work, the innovative Before trilogy. As touched on by Rudma Kangels, many film series rebuke their seriality, opting instead to navigate a floating timeline, where the idea of passing time is rejected for the convenience of lazy continuity. One must think of the James Bond series, which has become renowned for its static characterization of the titular role. The films reject the years which flow through the fabric of the character, refusing the contextual shifts of the world around the theatre. Whilst this works great for studios who churn out film after film without the necessity of character development, the lack of connection between installments promote a lack of past and memory. This results in a series where it is, quote, almost impossible for a character to develop and change. Identifying and making bluntly obvious the time which has passed between installments allows the viewers to observe clear character development. In Boyhood, Ethan Hawke ages 20 years in 200 minutes, which is admittedly fascinating, but can become lost and slightly distant when given so little air to breathe. Linklater's Trilogy, however, ages Hawke and Delpy in real time. Jesse's hairline recedes on beat with Hawke's real-life body clock, just as Celine's face wrinkles in sync with the real-world aging of Julie Delpy. This form of intertextuality is often neglected by filmmakers in an attempt to mask the passage of real-world time. However, Linklater opts to embrace such an idea, sculpting it into the essence of the work. The audience connect with the protagonists, as to observe them and their increasing maturity is to peer into the past and recall the changes which have occurred in parallel to the characters they observe. Unlike many of its Hollywood contemporaries, the films are left with cosmically open endings, culminating with final scenes which leave the audience questioning the direction of the story. Where other films cannot help but indulge in offering up sweet closure, Linklater's Trilogy poses that the only way through which these questions may be answered is by the audience enduring the passage of time. Again quoting Kangels, the narrative of each film in the Before series extends beyond the open ending as a lingering question for time to answer. Instead of opting to open and close separate chapters inside the runtime of the films, Linklater neglects to introduce a sudden, abrasive conflict, rather using the confines of time itself as the core obstacle for Jesse and Celine to fight against. Instead of fighting each other, they fight the constraints and the effect of time, together. In Sunrise, they revolt against their imminent departure. In Sunset, they fight against the time that was stolen from them in the 9 years since. And in Midnight, they argue with the grounding effect of time on both of their bodies, and their relationship. Given this element of the films, the trilogy is embedded in time for the viewer, as the antagonist naturally spills over the edges of any abstract runtime and joins the films together through a unique form of intertextuality. The installments in the trilogy act as a shot of catharsis for the viewer, just as they act as a passage of reconnection for Jesse and Celine, as both the spectator and the couple share an investment in the past. Possibly the most famous use of intertextuality between the three installments is the use of visual anaphora, and how the films are weaved together by a series of literal and motific parallels. One notable example is the scene of the characters reaching over and hesitating to touch each other's hair. In the first film, Jesse is the one who is hesitant. As the pair have just met, this apprehension feels natural. Jesse is understandably nervous. In Before Sunset, Celine is the one who attempts to reach out after feeling regret for sparking a heated argument. She is reaching out to touch the person she's been trying so desperately to replicate for almost a decade, and to no avail. Their reconvening in Before Sunset causes a decade of longing to crescendo, and so she is terrified to open herself up at the risk of having her heart shattered. These two examples mirror each other, as Celine in the first film and Jesse in the second are unaware that the other is attempting to reach out. In the third film, however, Celine reaches out to caress the cheek of Jesse, who now requits her gesture, and sings along affectionately to the song playing in the car. Such micro-movements are near indistinguishable, yet are symbolic of the context of each of the films. Linklater's consistency and willingness to embrace the natural passage of time allows intricate parallels such as these to be drawn, and powerful statements to be made over the course of nearly 2 decades. The Before trilogy has carved out a rather peculiar subgenre for itself. Linklater's career has been constantly associated with innovative uses of time, and in this case, it is his exploration of the intermediary period between films as a thematic device. The trilogy is a series of intertextual references, building on the real-world changes in audience, context, and perspective, just as much as it indulges in the changes in Jesse and Celine's lives. This form of meta-intertextuality forms a unique connection between spectator and art, and hence resonates more powerfully due to the shared time the audience have invested in observing the characters change. Linklater's trilogy is an extended commentary on the dynamic nature of relationships and an exploration into the time Hollywood so often lets go.
Let me sing you a waltz out of nowhere, out of my thoughts. Let me sing